All right, for this lesson, I really wanted to focus on a tool that we're going to be using in one of your first projects, which is the Revolve tool. We call it Revolve Boss Base. It allows you to create a three-dimensional object around a center point. So let's kind of dive into that. And first, I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like. And then I'll be able to explain it a little bit easier as we get going on here. So first thing I'm going to do is just a new part. And I'm going to create on the right plane. I'm just going to create a center line. Okay, so this center line, I'm going to make it vertical, infinite length, and I'm just going to set it right here on my origin. And what I want to do is I'm going to create a shape, and from that shape I want to be able to rotate it around the center point. So anytime we're trying to create a three-dimensional object, the number one rule is in order for it to be 3D, as far as a feature, it needs to be a polygon. Okay, so there are going to be surfaces and some other things that when you get really advanced into SolidWorks, you'll learn doesn't require a polygon necessarily, but most elements, in order for them to work properly inside SolidWorks, require it to be a polygon. Okay, so a polygon is just a closed object, any number of sides. So I'm going to go ahead and try to create something along those lines. So just a little bit north of my origin here, I'm going to just create this point. And I'm just going to make a shape. And it kind of look a little bit like a Christmas tree. And then I need to close that shape. When you see it closed, you'll see it highlighted. It shades itself in. That means it is a polygon at that point. Okay, so right now, if I was to rotate this thing around, you can see it's actually a flat object. You can see my center point for the object, if I was looking straight down on it, is this center line right here. Well, if I want to take that and create a three-dimensional object out of that, I can do that in a couple different ways. But the way we're going to learn about today is using a features tool called Revolve Boss Base. Okay, so I'm going to select on Revolve Boss Base. And the first thing it always does, and I want you to, when you start looking at these properties menus, always look at them as a series of questions. Start at the top, read it just like you would a book, left to right, and up and down. So we're going to start, and it's going to say okay or cancel. Well, we haven't answered any questions yet, so we can't click any of those. Next thing it's going to ask you is axis of revolution. It means what do you want to rotate your object around. And you can see it automatically highlighted this vertical line right here. Okay, which is cool because that means if I do this and I select yes, it's going to go ahead and create a 360-degree object around that line. And you can change that to where you can say I only want 180 degrees of this thing, and it'll do half. Okay, you can set that to whatever you want it to be. You can set it to 15 degrees if you wanted to. Do that. See, it's a small little sliver now. We can also change it to where it says up to a surface, around a vertex, around a midplane. Blind just means you're going in one direction. So right now it's saying blind, meaning we're going one direction and 15 degrees. We're going to go back to 360 degrees for this. And when I'm done with it, I can simply hit check mark. It's going to create my 3D object. Okay, the other thing that you need to realize though is that axis of revolution is really, really important. Say I didn't have this selected for some reason, and for whatever reason it was selecting this bottom point. Well, this looks like a much different shape than what I was just doing a second ago, right? Now it's still pulling from the exact same design I made, okay, but it's going around a different axis of revolution. Okay, so that axis of revolution, that center point, is really important for how this thing is going to rotate. So let's do one more. Let's take this one out, and let's select this one up here. And you can see again, we change the shape even more. So it changes depending on what the axis of revolution is. So that's one of the really cool tools inside SolidWorks that allows you to create objects pretty quickly. That have a symmetrical or cylindrical outline. Pretty cool product.